Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Frank, the Artistic Director at First Stage, and I'd like to welcome you to the Milwaukee Youth Arts Center, a collaboration between First Stage and the Milwaukee Youth Symphony Orchestra. The center gives children the opportunity to express themselves through the arts, through diverse programs housed in this state-of-the-art facility. Later today, if you're interested in finding out more, we'll have tours available for you. We're honored to host this afternoon's celebration of the life of Ned Schley, who himself so enjoyed being a witness to the joyful noise of young people in this facility. It seems an appropriate venue to make a joyful noise about a wonderful man here today. All 5 of Ned's grandchildren have been students at the Academy, in summer classes, company classes, interning, and on our staff. I can safely say that the Schley family has attended more First Stage shows and events over the years than any other family in our history. We've been truly blessed to know them and blessed to know Ned. Ned spent his 50-year career as a realtor selling the city of Milwaukee, and he recognized this facility, the Milwaukee Youth Arts Center, as an incredible asset to the community. He felt it was something important for us all to show off, and we express our appreciation to Ned and to his family on this special day as we celebrate his life. And now I'd like to invite Amy Schley to the podium.
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, this has been a very, very special place in our life. And surely, as the song said, we are in a special place. I was very fortunate to marry a wonderful man, and we were a very fortunate family that he told us what he wanted when he left us. He also told us what he didn't want. So I assure you that we are not doing what he didn't want. When we were planning the celebration, we knew that Ned wanted lots of music. As Mike said, we sang Surely the Presence of the Lord every Memorial Day at camp and other times. And more of the songs you hear today are from the Mantor's songbook, or else they were songs that were very, very important to Ned. And there's one other thing I have to say to you, is that Ned was often very spontaneous, but he also liked to plan ahead. And before we were married, it was clear that the 2 of us would share naming our sons, not with our daughter. If we had a daughter, her name was going to be Sally, after her sister Sally Manigault. And I always said that that was part of my marriage vows, and if I didn't agree to that, the marriage was off. So, as much as I would like to acknowledge all of the many relatives who have come from far and wide, and all of you, I just want to tip my hand to the matriarch of the family, Sally Manigault. Ned also picked his pastor for today. And Rachel and her family lived next door to Dan and Barb in Milwaukee's Washington Heights, and she and her family have been friends for a long time. A few years ago, we attended a memorial service that Rachel presided at. And when it ended, he was out of his seat, charging up to the front of the room, and I thought, what is he doing? And he went up to Rachel and he said, "Can I sign up right now. So I would like to present the wonderful Rachel. Thank you for joining us.
Let's start with a reading from one of my favorite poets, E. E. Cummings. Love is the voice under all silences, the hope which has no opposite in fear, the strength so strong, mere force is feebleness, the truth more first than sun, more last than star. We are gathering today around the power of love. The power of love to speak our inner longings and bring us into relationship and into community. The power of love to nurture our lives and awaken our inner callings. The power of love to lead us into the world with a courage and a hope that defies fear. We are here to celebrate the power of love that was at work in this world and in our lives through Ned's life, and gather around the promise that love is more first than sun, more last than star, holding together the seen and the unseen in a single embrace. Let us pray. We are here because each of us has been touched by the life of Ned Schley, by his welcoming heart, listening ear, generous spirit, and deep love for the world and its people. As we remember and celebrate his life, may we also remember and celebrate the gift of life that we each hold within us. As we feel the nearness of his presence and the Lord's presence in this place, as we hold him to us in memory and word and music and family and community, may we be inspired to also create beauty and community and music and soulful places for each other. For it is in love's exchange that we touch what is eternal and remain near to one another forever. Amen. And at this time I would invite forward the namesake, Sally. Share a little bit about her day.
These are things that my dad taught my brothers and I that through the years. And I'll start with, if you need to use a gas station restroom but didn't buy gas, at least buy a pack of gum. Scrambled eggs are best if you slightly burn the butter before adding the eggs. Black bananas and burnt toast are also yummy. Remember people's names by repeating the name back when you're introduced. When you visit someone, be sure to find out what they need fixed. And it's usually a good idea to bring along with you in your luggage some tools, silver polish, glue gun, and especially glue. Labrador retrievers have velvet ears. You can use the Labrador's ears to clean the goop out of their eyes. Jeopardy and This Old House are the best shows on TV. A score of 19 in a cribbage hand is actually 0 because 19 is an impossible hand. Don't hang pictures up too high, and be sure to straighten them when they're crooked, even by 1/8 of an inch. Pheasants are challenging to hunt successfully. Grouse are even harder, but not hopeless. Wild turkeys are hopeless. Always have a flashlight in your car. If you're going to Alaska, get a flashlight and a star chart for everyone in your group. Oops, unless it's summer when the sky stays light all night. No, he did that. Dogs look to be scratched at the place on the back, just above the top of the tail. Recycle. Always put the paper towel tubes into recycling, unless you're visiting Jim, since they use them for kindling. They're with soap. Instead of emailing or texting someone, it's just better to pick up the phone and call. Never say no to anything your spouse asks you for. Treat him or her with love and respect, and he or she will love you forever. Anyone arriving for a meal is welcome, and anyone's friend arriving for a meal is also welcome. And no number of guests is too many. Last but not least, No day is complete without cookies.
I'm Jim Schley, and I'm the one who lives in Vermont. Some of you haven't seen me for a while. In fact, I've seen several people I haven't seen for more than 30 years. One of our goals in gathering today, though, was that we could smile. And we're really happy that you could all be with us. I'm going to speak a little bit about my dad's love of music, which is something he gave us, just like he made sure we were fed. You know, it was really that basic. And there are families that come together around sports. And those of you who know us, know that we will turn up at every possible occasion for a concert or a play, a puppet show. One of my earliest memories was sitting on the grass down at the Lakefront Arts Center listening to the blind pianist George Shearing. And my dad had a special enthusiasm and knowledge of jazz, which he really passed to me. In high school, on a Father's Day, I took him to see Dave Brubeck at the PAC with his 3 sons playing in the same band. And that was something that as time went on, I came to appreciate even more. Last week I was listening while I worked to Count Basie and realizing that the first introduction I had to Count Basie was in high school when there was a lot of other things pulling at my ears, but also my dad made sure that I had heard some Basie. I'm going to read a poem of my own called My Father's Whistle. And there's a little bit of whimsy at the heart of this. It's very short. But the idea is that my dad could whistle quite well, and I could never whistle. And so the fancy of the poem, it describes the first time I succeeded in whistling. And I was thinking that a whistle could be just as much passed along from your parent as a dimple or a color of eyes or a certain way of smiling. My father's whistle. On a darkened bus on Thanksgiving, I was thinking my father could whistle like breeze coming home through a spruce. The aisle lights glinting like valves down the length of a black clarinet. I was breathing through my teeth and with tilted lips, throat and mouth released a looped sigh. The first whistle came free, filigree in air that remains. Thank you. Speaking of music, I'm going to introduce Jesus Villa and also Steve Joseph to play You've Got a Friend, which is a song that's hard to think about, Ned, without thinking of that word friend.
Gotten to play a lot of places in my life, but I don't think I enjoy playing anywhere nearly as much as I do on that porch of that house out in Spring Lake. Won't be quite the same this summer, but I'll still be there. When you're down in trouble and you need some love and care, and nothing, oh, nothing is going right. Just close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call. sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, that old north wind should begin to blow, just lift your eyes to heaven and call my name out loud. Soon I'll be knocking upon your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, ain't it good to know you got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you. They'll take your soul if you let them. Oh, but don't you let them. How about we all sing this last one, all right? You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll run in to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there. You got a friend. You got a friend. Ain't it good to know you got a friend? Ain't it good to know you got a friend?
One of my favorite songs is from Charlie King. It goes, "Our life is more than our work, and our work is more than our job." I was lucky to have a father that truly believed this and lived it. It became clear to me that I am who I am because of our time together. Growing up, we never heard, "Just wait till your father gets home." No, it wasn't because we didn't get into mischief. It was just that Dad coming home was never a threat. He was always calm, teaching us right from not so right, without ever raising his voice. I wish I had done better at following that one. The lessons I think I learned better were those about community, family, and service. Dad held one job my whole life, and the majority of his life. Dad was a realtor for 58 years. He sold houses from Bayside to Bayview, from bungalows to barn refurbishments. When I returned to Milwaukee after college and several other jobs, I was honored to work with him for 2 years at what was then Federated Realty, now called Banker. What I soon learned was that he didn't sell houses. He said, I could never sell someone a house that didn't sell itself. Instead, he was a guide to hundreds of clients who often became friends. He would learn about people and their needs and their hopes, and he would teach them about Milwaukee and her neighborhoods, playing matchmaker. Dad loved Milwaukee. He loved sharing our great city. I think the only nights when Dad wasn't home for dinner was when he had an out-of-towner. He lived for those. They'd come to Milwaukee for a new job, often knowing nothing about the city that would become their new home. So he didn't just show them houses, he introduced Milwaukee's history, attractions, and hidden treasures. You are now in one of those treasures that Dad loved to share. He was so proud of my act, and the fact that all of his grandkids were able to grow in this place. Some of you may not have been here before. Well, see, he's still selling Milwaukee. When my career moved into a different area, my love for the city I am proud to call home is due to my dad. My father was, of course, far more than his job. He taught me that it is important to give back with time, talent, and treasure. Dad gave for years to the village of Bayside, Camp Manitowish, Gyro, Grace and Creel, and other organizations. I am lucky. I had a great mentor, teacher, and dad for 54 years, and he made the world a better place for 85.
I'm Rebecca Bailey, and I'm lucky enough to have had Ned as my father-in-law. And he, in my mind, he had a love of harmony. And that was in music, but also in his long, loving relationship with Emmy and as part of his family. So this song is dedicated to that.
Reading from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but it rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, and we prophesy only in part, but when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. For now, we see in a mirror dimly, but then we will see, face to face. Now I know only in part, then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. And now faith, hope, and love abide, these three. And the greatest of these is love. This is a passage that is often read at weddings, of course. But I have found that it's actually almost more fitting for times like these, when we're holding and we're honoring the memory and the life of someone who has loved well. When we're considering what makes a life, and when we're considering what makes a good life. And Ned had a good life because he knew how to love. And not necessarily in the romantic way that we sometimes think of love, although as we just heard in that beautiful song, Amy could probably tell us that Ned was great at romantic love too. But the love I am talking about is this other kind of love too, this ability to come up against the people that we meet every day in the world and find a place for them in our hearts. That's what Ned did so beautifully. One of the first memories of Ned that the family shared with me when I met with them was of Ned going to the doctor and asking her, "What is your story? Where are you from?" Only to discover that he had gone to college with her dad. So that was Ned, right? That was his gift. He was someone who cared about other people's stories and wanted to make connections in the world through knowing those stories, through knowing people. They said that, and Dan kind of alluded to the fact that he said that he didn't find people a house, but that the house found them, and he just assisted in the journey. But see, the way he assisted in the journey was by getting to know the people seeking the house well enough that he could begin to sense what kind of neighborhood and what kind of house and what kind of community would feel like home to them. He took time to hear people's stories and not just hear them, but really hold those stories to himself in such a way that he was motivated by his attachment to other people, to help those people find and realize their hopes and their dreams. He could help a house find a family because he invested in people's stories, and he could help a house find a family because he also, as Dan said, invested in this community, in Milwaukee's people, and in Milwaukee's neighborhoods. His father was an architect who built, I think if I'm right, over 2,000 homes in Milwaukee, about 60 of the houses lining a drive between Lake Park and Bayside. His mother was from the Story family, whose quarries provided the stone that raised up many of our city buildings, including the beautiful water tower near St. Mary's Hospital on the east side. His family literally helped build and shape the city's skyline and its landmarks, and its dwelling places, and its neighborhoods, and he was equally committed. He was a trustee for the village of Bayside, and as an ardent conservationist, was instrumental in helping preserve the land that is now Schley's Audubon Nature Center. He loved music and dancing and theater, and as we know, was a strong supporter of the arts and of all these programs in our city that reached out to young adults and children and helped develop their gifts. He knew people across generations, and he wanted to help people get good roots and find joyful possibilities for their lives in the city that he called home. That's what made them able to shepherd people into a house, a neighborhood where they would thrive, and that's how he loved the people and the world, by finding ways that his life could help other lives and whole communities of people to be full and rich and good. And that's exactly what love always calls us to do. That's the vision of all the great religious teachers. That's really what it means to live a faithful life, to live a good life. And I would say, a joyful life too. And if Ned's heart was faithful in love towards people he met through vocation and civic engagement, it was even more faithful towards those who graced him in the personal realm. So many of you, in cards that you sent to Amy over the past month, spoke of the way in which their relationship inspired you, by its joy and hospitality, and by the way that they complemented each other as people, like pieces of a puzzle that were meant to come together. Ned took Amy into his heart and his family when she needed a family, and he made a great family with her. He was there to champion and nurture the gifts of his children, helping them come into themselves and see themselves as a meaningful part of this world. He was there to champion and nurture the gifts of his grandchildren, and he could not have been more proud of them. He helped open their home and their lake home to friends and to family for holidays and parties and gatherings, and when you came, and I speak from experience, you felt like you were one of the family too. Like your spot at the table had always been waiting for you. And always there was the willingness to listen to your story, to hear you into existence, to care about your journey in this world. Ned loved well, and is why he was also able to take his journey into the greater love that holds all of us with such grace. There were, as his family said, no regrets. There was instead, in the last weeks of his life, time with family, time for beauty and art, and the best cheeseburger of his life. Time to finish reading yet another good book. And then time to peacefully drift to that place where all love is made complete. When Amy told him to hang on, he did as he was told. And when Amy said, "Sweetie, it's okay to go," he also did as he was told, and he took his last breath, having lived his life fully to the end. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now we know only in part, but then we will know fully, even as we have been fully known. And now faith, hope, and love abide, these three. And the greatest of these is love. Love which is patient and kind, love which bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. This force out of which Ned lived in this world, and the fullness of love in which he now lives in a new way. And our lives stay close to his through love, a love which has no end, a love which envelops each one of us in this journey and beyond. We stay connected each time we also let our lives step into love's power and mystery and ability to make us and others and this world more beautiful and bold. Each time we let the place that someone needs to call home, outside of themselves or inside of themselves, come to them through taking the time to hear and know and empower them to discover where home is. We stay close to him and each other through our hearts in this love that binds us all as one forever. Amen.
For
been to Spring Lake. It's a little bit of heaven on earth. I'm Barb, I'm Ned's daughter-in-law, and this reading, Leaving the Lake by Marty Omaminga, is what Ned probably envisioned as heaven. It's quiet now. Only the sound of lapping waves is left. They rock upon the shore soothingly, easing the loneliness that is as palpable as a heavy fog. Where for days there was noisy laughter, now there's only calm. Where for hours there was continuous activity, swimming, boating, card playing, there's now only stillness. Where once there were endless meals on the make, there's now only a clean and tidy kitchen. The sailboat is off its mooring, the paddles wrapped and stored, the boats pulled up, the inner tubes put away, the chairs back on shore, the car packed. Like a tilt-a-whirl at the fair, how the time together flew. In a flurry of horns honking, you sent off your loved ones one by one, and now that the void that they're leaving creates, it makes you want to weep. And sometimes you do. Shortly it will be time for you to leave as well. But for a moment, you take a rest from your closing duties to lie on the hammock, replaying the cherished memories of lake and cabin time that have ended all too soon. In truth, sometimes amid all the commotion of being together, you longed for a peaceful moment. But now that it has come, your heartbeat hangs in the air, resonating like the last lone note of a moving musical performance. For you know the chance of another gathering will not be repeated for some time. And so, as if it were the reprise of a symphony, you replay and savor in your mind all that you experienced together. Bird's call is your accompaniment, the rhythmic ripples of a duck's wake your beat, the soft breeze your baton. The picnics, the parties, the friends, the swimming, the sunrises, the starlight blend in an encore. And for a moment, time stands still in solemn sacredness. But now it is time for you to depart as well. Time to turn the key and lock the door and leave the fish to glide and words to soar in uninterrupted tranquility. It is their time for solitude. You know that no matter how long until your return, whether it is weeks or months or even a year or more, it will always seem too distant. And when you finally do come back, turn the key and walk into the cabin's welcoming mustiness, you know, feel, sense as though the cabin is a living, breathing thing that has been waiting for you, for love and happiness to fill its rooms once more. In that instant, it is though two hearts beat as one. But now it is time to go. And so you say your farewells, glancing around at all that you hold dear, the gentle picture over the mantel, the fireplace hearth dusted with the filigree of ashes from the final fire, those faded hats of beloved earlier generations still hanging on the wall. For a second, you imagine the cabin without you, the daylight and its shifting shadows, the hush of a purple twilight, the silver streams of moonlight, and you are filled with peace. With a heavy sigh, you walk out the door and turn the key in the lock. The brilliance of the blue sky, the flickering sunlit leaves of the emerald forest, and the sparkling lake seems to engulf you with a parting embrace. For often, no day is lovelier than the one on which you leave. Till we meet again, dear cabin, I'll see you in my dreams.
Into the eternal heart of love, we commend our brother and companion in our journey on earth, Ned Schley. Trusting that his love and life and heart continue to unfold in our loves and lives. lives and hearts. May his dreams for the world find their fullness in each of us, friends, community members, children, grandchildren, as we also take up our lives in courage and generosity and faith. May his belief in us become our belief in ourselves. And may his passion for the next generation be a passion in which we also nurture the young lives around us and all the gifts of life that are still to come. As we think about Ned's passion and dreams for the next generation, we'll hear from Tim, his grandson, about the ways in which he has shaped the lives of his grandchildren, and then they're going to sing a song about dreams.
You meant so much to everyone. You touched so many people. Every Little League game, every comedy sports match, every basketball game, every scoot show, every swim meet or hurling game or robotics regional you went to meant the world to me. I will always remember sitting in your dark yellow chair, looking at all the figurines on your table, and at your beer pong trophies, thinking about how much I wanted to be just like you. I loved playing with your Dymo tape label maker. I loved coming over to help Grammy with computer problems, and just having it being an excuse to give you a hug when it was a matter of unplugging the router and plugging it back in. I loved going out on pontoon boat rides with you and making campfires. I loved seeing you make so many people happy, whether you were stacking wood at the woodpile or sitting in the audience of a play. I loved every time you called me Timber, and when you said there was an Oreo in the jar with my name on it. You had an incredible life, and we will all miss you so much. I love you and will always love you. Good night, Gramps.
I'm Gina. I'm Gramps' granddaughter, and something I have in common with him is our love for Manitowish. And so we're going to sing Gramps' favorite song from Manitowish called Dreams. My mom and I will start out with the first chorus, and then my cousins will join in, and at that point, anyone in the audience who knows the words can also join in as well.
Until
sharing this experience with us. And now it's your turn. And we'd like to invite you to join us out in the big room outside. We're going to ask that you let Amy and her family leave first so that we can greet you when you come out. Also, I want to remind you, if you would like to sing or play music, above the large gathering room there's a balcony where musicians will be welcome, and you can get there from the stairway on this side of the main room. Also, if you're curious about this building, Patrick and his helpers would be happy to give tours, and those will begin out there. And lastly, my dad was a great reader, and I want to conclude, this is at my mom's request, with a quotation from Charles Dickens from the Old Curiosity Shop. And it's in this spirit that we'd like to invite you to carry his memory. Fan the sinking flame of hilarity with the wing of friendship, and pass the rosy wine.